Yakov is here again with Matt.
Hey guys, what's up?
And we got my friend Holten here, who is one of my oldest Facebook friends, I think.
Whoop whoop.
Hell yeah. It's probably years ago, and I was just adding like occult people, and you were probably one of
Well,
the earliest ones.
yep, many profiles later, huh?
Feel
so,
that.
I heard you had some interesting stories regarding some paranormal UFO occurrences.
Absolutely. And I can
Awesome.
jump into that and just kind of I could jump into that, give you like the brief like intro. If you guys have any questions, I'll try to keep it like on base or whatever. But
Yeah, give me what you got. Kick it off.
Take us sailing, bro.
all right. So I guess this all kind of transpired around 2015 into 16. And I had just moved from the lovely state of Arizona back to shithole Clinton, Massachusetts. And I had a lot of like ties with, kind of shadier elements and whatever. I was going back to kind of, party and get in trouble. So I meet up with this girl, and, she's just a total heroin fucking crack whore. Loved her to death. Fucking went to jail for a little bit, and by the time I got out, I was delving really hard with the kind of psychedelic drugs and things of that nature.
Yep, that
Uh,
happens.
that happens.
Those
And
are fun. That's experienced.
one of these nights, we're all just kind of laying around, and we were living in this fucking trap house, fucking no electricity, cold water, middle of fucking winter, and we're just laying around watching movies, and my ex, crazy crack whore, gets up and fucking just walks out to the back porch, and like she's like half fucking naked, and me and our roommate, fucking her best friend, we walk out following her. We're kind of sketched out. We're like, what the fuck are you doing walking out half naked in the middle of fucking winter? And she points up, and there's this like orb in the sky, right? And she points to the orb, and she says, "That's for us." And I remember her and our roommate at the time start like playing tug of war with this orb in the sky, like with their minds. Like it was like they were like telepathically
They're in
fucking with this orb.
influencing it with their will or something, like
Right,
interstellar
right,
pong.
right, exactly.
Awesome.
Interstellar pop. And all this stuff is subjective up until I get to the point where shit actually starts going down. Um,
So,
you can take it or leave it. You think I'm a fucking kook?
so
That's cool.
you had mentioned previously there was like some poltergeist stuff. So this right here, this almost sounds from what you're saying, it sounds like they're being almost controlled or
Right.
influenced
Well,
to act strangely at least.
I remember watching them fuck around like manipulating this phenomenon in the sky, and I remember feeling like a state of fear. Like I felt like vulnerable. It felt like your typical in the middle of a field like get fucking picked up and anal probed by a fucking ET or
Yeah.
something. And so sorry, there's some water dripping from my fucking ceiling right now. But yeah, so I remember like coming to this realization, like, oh, like I know what to do. And I talked to the girls, I'm like, hey guys, let me play with the orb. And they're like all tranced out. They're like, not even hearing me. And I remember it felt like the only way I could describe it is like lifting like a tremendous amount of weight. Like if I was like going fucking Super Saiyan or some shit. And I like took it from their focus, and I was like, "Watch, guys, I'm gonna bend it." And I fucking I like focus, and this feeling of lifting this immense weight just starts like increasing, and like when it went from like an orb to like a flattened line, and then kind of like curved to like how like the Ouroboros, like the snake eating
Yes.
itself or whatever. It curved, and at the moment that like the two ends met, it like blew up into a bunch of like little small like orange orbs, and they darted through the sky. It was gone really quick, and then there was what looked like a mercurial phallic cigar like craft with no features.
What do you mean by
Fucking
mercurial in this sense?
like it looked like mercury,
Okay,
like liquid mercury, but like in this phallic
gotcha.
like cigar shape. And it
Yeah.
hovered over us really slow, and it had like a hum to it, and then it was gone. And like we all snapped out of it. We're like, what the fuck? We all go back inside, and we like compared notes and like kind of drew what we saw. Our friend calls us up. He's like, hey man, want to go to fucking Dunkin' Donuts? And we're like, bro, we just saw fucking aliens or whatever. And mind you, I don't really know if this was aliens in the sense of actual craft or actual beings, or if this is what historically has been referred to as like angels or
That's what.
demons or
Well, I
anything.
was about to ask if you thought it was like, was this like material reality? Is this like flesh and blood? Like some people, if they were a mile away and looking up, they could have seen these fucking things, or is
At,
it something that's like going on in your minds?
at first, I did think that it was material. And then later, I believed it was more of like a metaphysical kind of like a gnosis, like a state of gnosis, maybe a mass
Yes.
hallucination. But at the same point, like I really don't know because of the phenomena that transpired directly after. So back to that. So my buddy picks us up. We go to Dunkin's and we get coffees, and we're all fucking wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, fucking screaming about how we just saw this shit. Our buddy thinks we're totally fucking nuts. So we get back to the house, and the house is fucking trashed. And I mean, like, refrigerator doors open, all the cupboard doors open, dirt bike in the fucking kitchen. We're fucking white trash, so we have a dirt bike in the kitchen. That thing's knocked over. Fucking, I had all of my, like, stash, all the shit that I was selling, pile of money in my fucking sock drawer, that's ripped out. Everything's scattered across the floor, ammunition scattered across the floor. Nothing's taken. So we're like, what the fuck? Did we get like, was this like a raid or a warrant or something? And we just kind of like, we didn't brush it off, but we're just like, that's fucking weird. And this continued to happen for like weeks until I moved back. And during all this time, we were also seeing like less like physical orbs, but like like when you see like an orb in like a fucking a picture,
Yeah.
like you capture an orb in a picture, you could actually see those like zooming through the house and like making sharp angles. And right before they would come, we had a dog, fucking pit bull king, would get up and start growling like brrr, like growling at nothing, and then we'd have orbs flying around the fucking house.
I
So
remember seeing that when I was a child. It went
right,
away, but I do remember seeing that stuff.
right, and so what what kind of has me fucked up is like I don't know if this is something that can be accessed. Like if this is something like if you raise your consciousness to a certain level, you can kind of like unlock something and let it in. Like I said, at the same time, I was just starting to get into the occult. Casually perusing people like Helena Blavatsky and
Yeah.
fucking Crowley and stuff like that. I was living by candlelight, spray painting sigils all over the walls. I was just getting into it. Um, so now I'm like, I'm not sure if this is some sort of like spiritual technology that we can like, you know, commune with, or if this is something that's kind of locked in our subconscious, and or if it was just drugs. Like I'm really not sure. But
Are
the
you
thing that kind
are
of
you referring to the insanity at the house, or the
the
crafts that you
actual
saw, or
UFO
both?
crafts, the craft, yeah,
Okay.
like that. I'm still not sure if that was something to be looked at subjectively, or if that was like an objective experience. I mean, mass hallucination doesn't really make much sense in my fucking primitive ass mind. So
Well, when you were talking about like being able to manipulate the lights, or is that how would you say that? What were you doing exactly?
like I said, like when it felt like there was like this immense like weight, it felt like it was there's this muscle within the mind
But you were
that makes.
visually seeing this as something, though, right?
Yes, there were like all three of us. And honestly, I could probably at a later time probably get one or two of these girls on the air to have them relate their experience. But yeah, I mean the way that I understand it is that maybe there's like some like psychic muscle or something
Well,
within the brain that you
what I
can really like
find
feel.
so interesting about this is that you were talking about actually manipulating. Were they? You said they were orbs, right? Or
Yes.
okay,
Well,
so
yeah, continue.
it was like the only experience I've had that sounded anything like that, like being able to manipulate this insane energy just with your own willpower, has been my experiences on psychedelics. There
Right.
have been times where I was way out there in fucking space, and I'm just sitting there outside. But like I go into this weird state of meditation. I swear to God, I'm automatically doing some strange yoga stuff in my head, and I feel like the whole world is collapsing down on me. Asteroids are falling everywhere. The planets are exploding in midair, and like it. I don't understand how like. And I know that it's silly, like I'm just on drugs doing that, but like you would
Right.
swear that in your mind there's some crazy will stuff going on, and like there is some crazy power swirling around. That's
Right. No,
that's what it
absolutely.
sounds like to me. Like that, like you were talking about a trance-like state, like one could reach on the right psychedelics.
Right. Well, like another thing, a quick thing, like have you heard of John D and Edward Kelly?
Yes,
So you know how like
John Dee
John
was he
D.
was like the personal sorcerer of the Queen of England at one point, right? And the
Right.
inspiration for
Right.
007.
Yeah. So John D was kind of like within that like operating setting. He was the operator. Like he was the guy actually trying to work with spirits, and he used Edward Kelly as the seer or the oracle, right? And like I think personally, I think that women, I think that the menstrual nature of the womb and just like that feminine energy, they're very open for like oracle divination type things. And with my ex, she like had like an ability before all of this that made her kind of like different, at least in my eye. Like we'd be sitting there just laying in bed, she'd be nodding off on heroin, and but then she'd like sit up straight out of bed and be like, "Joe's calling," and then we'd get a phone call, it'd be Joe,
Oh,
or
that's
like
spooky as fuck.
You know, that's
or
actually something very interesting that I've for the last few weeks I've actually been doing a lot of research into the male versus female dynamic when it comes to and women seem to be the most open to outside forces.
yeah, they're receptive
That's their
by
design to be,
nature.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. They're the receptacle of.
The receptacle of my spooge.
Well, I mean, hey, to be fair, am I wrong?
No.
No, but they are.
No.
Well, they are the receptacle to any kind of outside force, and they are
Sure.
designed to be that way. And it's
Yep.
interesting. So, I'll tell a tiny little story, then we'll get back to what we're talking about.
So we're talking about, I think you were talking about being innately receptive towards spiritual things. You were talking about your ex.
Yep. Yeah. So the reason why I brought up the whole operator versus like seer, dynamic within like any sort of like invoking practice was because she was the one who kind of initially went in a trance and walked out there, and like it was like she was kind of like, at least in my eyes, was like conduit for this force, whereas I, like, after overcoming my initial fear, like was like the operator, and I command, like, she
Yes.
brought it in and I commanded it to do something. I bent it and got a reaction.
Well, I've probably said this more times than people give a shit to hear, but it's like so true. Is that like the female aspect of the metaphysical is like the emotion and the idea, and then the male is
The
what
intuition.
the what's that?
The intuition.
Yes, yes, and then the man has the discipline and the action aspect of it, and
Right.
then between the two, you have God born on Earth through those deeds, and that's the mystery of like Isis, Osiris, and Horus.
Yes, yes, exactly, and the creation of the magical child.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily need to be um, a female, like a biological female, in order to uh, utilize the feminine,
yeah.
intuitive energy in order to
The archetypes are for
invoke.
everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Nor do you have to be a male to be kind of like the dominant, commanding force within an operation.
Yes, everybody needs certain aspects at certain times in their life.
Right. Well, and especially within the magical practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that was. Oh, and another thing that would continuously transpire within the weeks after this experience was we'd be sitting there, just sitting around the apartment, and it was only us three. We could have a gaggle of people fucking squatting in our place, but there would be this like loud hum, like accompanied by a flash of green light, and it would feel like electricity going through your body, and all three of us would kind of like spaz the fuck out and be like, "Whoa, did you guys hear that?" And everyone would be like, "You guys are fucking nuts." So there was this weird like relationship between us three and the phenomena that was taking place in that house, and we were kind of playing around with it. We were very playful and curious about it, which may not have been the smartest thing. Like I said, I don't know if this was what historically is referred to as angels or demons or whatnot,
The thing I
but
keep
it
coming back to is like if someone else who is not in the same mindset as you guys was like there in that room with you, would they have seen it? And it doesn't mean, and if they
right,
wouldn't, I don't think that means that it's not real. It's just a matter
right,
of like how, I don't know, how grounded in the reality we know is it.
right. Yeah, no, I have no clue. I would like to think that if there was another person there, that it would have either happened and they would have saw it, or it just wouldn't have happened at all. But I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And you talk
Yep.
about like the sound. You said a hum, and like all of these things, they do make me think of like mental phenomenon, and they keep taking me back to like acid. But I guess that's like the theme of the evening is these
Right.
sorts of states of mind.
Well, you also talked about a green light, correct?
Yeah, the green light that accompanied the humming noise. And but getting back on what you just said, Yakov, um, I think that it's foolish to discount or to discredit these experiences when people have them, because for the people that have them, they're very real, especially in mass hallucination like settings.
I absolutely agree. I
Oh, of
absolutely
course.
agree.
Like Terrence McKenna talks about his like some of his, or maybe it's his brother Dennis, I think his name is.
Yeah, Dennis is the
Um,
big brain.
yeah, yeah. So I think it was him who was talking about ayahuasca trips in South America, and how all these people would ingest this drug, and they would all have the exact same visual
That
hallucination of like
was
little people coming out of the woods, and
Yeah,
like
that was probably Terrence in his book. What the hell was it? He had this whole book that was just about going down to South America and eating
yeah,
mushrooms before like any like Western people really got around to it.
Can
And
I?
yeah,
they, one second, there
Sorry.
there are a few things in that like that's the sort of thing. These were the things I was reading when like I was getting into acid and the occult and all of that stuff, and you were talking about a hum, and the hum is like central to Terrence McKenna's experiences in
Right.
South America with the mushroom. He would experience that before coming up, and then being able to communicate with the spirits or whatever they were.
Yeah. Yep. No, I distinctly remember that as well coming from Terrence. I wasn't on mushrooms that night. I like at that point in my life, I was kind of like the panderer of the. I was getting like quarter pounds of shrooms, and I always had like at least 100 hits of acid, and I was getting DMT for like a fucking like $60 a gram. It was an awesome fucking life. But what?
Can I jump in here and
Yeah,
ask a couple
yeah.
questions? Okay, so I am of I have extremely limited views when it comes to um, any kind of hallucinogen. The most
Wait, say that one more
hallucinogens.
time, Matt.
I am one of the people that has not done hallucinogens much at all. I've done
Yeah.
acid twice. I've done shrooms once. I'm preferably I'm an upper. I'm one of
Right.
those people that likes to do sort of amphetamines. I
Hell
don't.
yeah, brother.
I haven't done any drugs in like 3 years. But my thing is, like, I feel this is probably going to come off as like some kind of like hippy dippy shit. But I feel like when you talk about the three of you were like on drugs, doing whatever you're doing.
Well, for a
And
lot of these circumstances, we were not on drugs. Like
well, that's what I'm
all of
saying.
this shit.
But you guys
Yeah.
are like you guys are connected in some way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you experience the same shit at one time, and you all feel it. It's almost like a kind of hive mind kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and like you all experience the green light, the sound, the feel, and you just experience it at the same time. And what I feel that means humans at our most basic level have some kind of way to communicate with each other, or at least be on the same like realm. You know what I'm saying? Like we can all experience the same shit at the same time.
You
We can
sound
all
like an
think.
Aboriginal from Australia.
Yeah. Are you a witch doctor?
No, but what I'm saying is,
No, I
like,
think you're right. It's like in that sense, like what could be more real than an experience that like you have on a fucking telepathic level with the people you care about? Like what could be more real and more life changing and more influential than that? So
that's what I'm saying.
And then,
But
and
it's
then,
not like a conscious telepathic level. It's just the fact that these humans, these people that were in the same area at the same time, all felt the same thing, experienced the same emotion, and came to the same conclusion. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
it's synchronicity, I think. It's
Well-
like the fucking the world repeating the patterns on itself. I don't know exactly how to explain it.
Why would we, if it's a synchronicity thing, why would we all experience the same emotion, the same feeling, the same memory, the same idea?
well, give me 1 second here. So
Okay.
the what I would say to kind of like counter that is that like this really isn't just like some hippy dippy bullshit. It's really easy to like pass
I'm not
off.
saying what you were talking
No, no,
about
no.
was. I'm sorry.
No, I got you. But like what I'm saying is like this isn't something that like just a bunch of bums are sitting around in their fucking trap house with no electricity are doing. This is something that this type of phenomena is stuff that, and there's plenty of data and evidence and declassified literature that I'd love to bring up sometime that shows evidence that our government has been dealing with this type of stuff and studying.
What stuff are you
You know,
talking about specifically?
What's it called? There's one word. Blah, 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 blah. God,
I don't know.
sorry, it's fucking slipping my mind. But like the use of drugs and like psyops.
Yeah,
And
well, you got
you
the
know,
Alex Jones stuff. He's been saying that the CIA's been shooting DMT for fucking ever.
Right. One of
I
my
believe it.
friends, Sarah Reck. One of my friends, Sarah Reck. Like one of her like life fucking works has been compiling like declassified documents on psychic phenomena and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Are you talking about,
besides
man,
that,
like
this is
MK Ultra and all that, like the men who stare at goats type stuff, and
Yes.
right. MK Ultra. That word fucking it's used to it's a big fucking brush that they use to
yes,
stroke a bunch of different things underneath.
yeah,
Like you could say anything's MK Ultra, but it's not even just that. It's not even just that. It's something that our religious leaders and like the shamans and seers of antiquity have
yes,
been communicating for thousands of years, and it's very easy to dismiss um, experiences of I don't want to say gnosis, but like that it is kind of like that, like coming into this gnosis where you're receiving hidden
yeah.
maybe knowledge
You don't
or
fucking sacrifice an effigy before a stone owl all in robes for nothing. Like, you
well,
believe something when you're doing that shit, like in
I
Bohemian
was
Grove.
thank you. I was actually getting to that. Like at the Bohemian Grove, did you know that that's was the place where they all got together and sat down and pretty much designed the layouts for nuclear energy. Like and there's countless of these scientists who have claimed to have channeled. I mean, Nikola Tesla is obviously
Yeah.
the big one,
He would start
but
having like seizures and say that he was getting like designs from wherever.
yeah, yeah. I and I think that the Bohemian Grove gets a bad rap, and I'm probably one of the very few who think so. I think that the Bohemian Grove was founded with good intentions
Yeah, I
by a
mean,
bunch of stoners. It was literally just a bunch of stoners and poets and
yeah,
people who were
honestly,
trying to.
that's kind of like the roots of America. That's it's just gone with the
Yeah,
wind at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
you're
growing
right.
their
You're
hemp
right.
and they were paying their taxes with weed and
yeah. And
I'm just trying to do
nowadays,
my own thing, God damn it.
right. But yeah, I think that secret societies have always been kind of tied up in within that, and like obviously you're familiar with the burning bush, right?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
the Old Testament,
Like yeah,
Moses,
burning bush. Yep, Moses,
Moses.
and how a lot of biblical scholars believe that burning bush was the acacia,
Yeah,
which is a
Yes,
huge
I actually knew about this.
yeah, which is a huge symbol in Masonic literature.
Yep.
And the acacia plant, actually, the Masonic lodge that I go to, the OTO body that I operate with, we work out of Acacia Lodge. This is kind of how I got familiarized with, like, well, why Acacia? What's up with that? And the burning bush, the acacia plant has the highest dose of like DMT within its barks of like any.
Wait,
Yeah.
does it really?
Yeah. So like all of these mystics and muses, I mean, even like the oracles of Delphi, the men brought these like virgin women up to the top of a mountain where they would get them fucked up on drugs like ergot, which is a psychedelic
The
drug.
precursor of acid, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they would get these girls all fucked up on ergot and then use them to prophesy war plans for Sparta. You know what I mean? Like it's
Oh,
woven
no.
into
Oh
It's-
shit! This is like connected a bunch of different fucking things that I didn't know were connected. Holy fuck!
like that's what I mean. Like it's really easy to dismiss these like potent psychedelic experiences of just Joe Schmo fucking hobo on the side of the street, but it's something that's deeply woven within like our culture, Western culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
Every culture has its outlet for it.
yeah, yep. I think in the wrong personality types, and I think that I've battled this over my career, so to speak, is it can be a precursor to madness.
Yes.
I think that dwelling on these things at points in my life have brought me to like states of kind of like self-inflicted like psychosis. So
There
I
is a
think that
fine line between enlightenment and madness.
I was literally just. I really am curious because I have no experience in this shit, and what
Yeah.
you guys are saying is making me like especially connecting the ancient Greek thing with the yeah, it really fucked me up because I am a huge person that loves to look into ancient Greek.
Well, yeah, you can look this up too. I think it was Nat Geo. They did like an autopsy on fuck, I want to say King Tut, but I mean all these fucking Egyptian cunts are all the same.
Yeah.
So they did an autopsy on
They're
this
all
guy
European too.
within yeah, they were Europeans. They're Aryans. Oh no, fucking
He's
they
halfway.
found within their toxicology reports on the autopsies of a lot of these mummies like drugs that weren't even native to that area. Like I'm pretty sure there was like cocaine and
Yeah,
all sorts of like mushrooms,
they
all sorts
find
of shit.
like
I
opium
believe they
pipes
had
and shit like
marijuana
that.
too. Yeah,
Did,
yeah.
did you see Yakov? I posted this like a week back. You can order synthetic adrenochrome online now legally.
Are you fucking kidding?
That's
Yeah,
insane.
you
What?
can
So,
order it online.
so how legit is adrenochrome?
I don't know. I've never tried it.
Okay.
I assume that it's fucking legit.
Well, that's the thing is that like it came to public knowledge by way of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and the
Yes.
thing is like even
You
if
know
you
that you
the
know
thing
that
that was always
Hunter is
claimed to
a
be fake
Bohemian?
by the director and by everybody involved, but it
No,
does
Yeah.
that's
exist.
real.
Well, you know that fucking Hunter S. Thompson was a Bohemian, right?
That's not surprising to me.
He
Like,
he
I know like the
he,
Grateful Dead all were, and
like an
he said
actual
it, he
person.
said it in
Like,
yeah, he said it in an interview. He's like, I'm a Bohemian, right? I rolled the hillbillies. And if you watch the Alex Jones fucking Bohemian Grove thing where he snuck in, crashed the place, the hillbillies are like one of the little sects because within the Bohemian Grove, you got to understand there's different clubs.
yeah,
Like it's not like Bohemian is one. It's like the Bohemian Club is an umbrella club, And I mean, you could kind of like just use like the word like Illuminati as well as like
yeah.
this like umbrella, call it
I
the
don't.
Brotherhood of the Serpent, like Bill Cooper called it, or the Great White Brotherhood or whatever. There
The
is
Jason Society.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't know a lot about this. I love hearing about this though because it's very fucking fascinating. Like,
It's great stuff, man. Fucking I grew up around the Jehovah Witness cult. So from a very young age, like I was probably like by the time I was like 11 or 12, I was already like claiming I was an atheist. I was always very interested in like fringe sects and like secret societies. The Freemasons were always like very interesting to me. And I think whereas before I looked at everything very, very cynically and like now, like just like within any branch of politics, you're gonna have the people that are in it for the mystery and the wisdom and the knowledge, and then you're gonna have your psychopaths and sociopaths who are, their lust for power is kind of ingrained within their DNA. So
yeah,
they're the ones that find themselves in positions of power. So like when you talk about the CIA, it's not like the CIA in itself is this one giant corrupt organization. It's got like a handful of cowboys who are working for a gaggle of psychopaths at the top, or at least that's the way I look at it.
well,
Yeah.
that's actually an interesting theory because, like, how do you think their day by day would go?
Well,
Who's day by
most
day?
of them probably pretty goddamn uneventful. Like you're
Right.
saying, the gaggle at the top. For me, it's like in America in particular, it's the stranglehold that Zionism has. It's guiding
Right.
the whole thing. It's not that, and that's the. This is the fucking real problem. Is that like I'll tell somebody how this is the most evil goddamn system in history. It's the most evil fucking entity in goddamn history as far as like the U.S. government, its intelligence branches, and its fucking military industrial complex. Most evil thing fucking possible. But like
What,
I
Zionism?
the the whole machine that's been constructed that's using
Oh
the
yeah.
U.S. military as its power and it's fomenting
Yeah.
revolution and fucking. But
Right.
if you tell people that this is the most evil machine that's ever existed and needs to be dismantled, well, they'll say, "Oh, these are all just good people doing their jobs." But it's like, if you're a part of the machine that needs to be dismantled, like I just don't know. I don't know what to
Yeah.
say.
Like, exactly, and it's like you can only claim that you didn't know or that you were oblivious to the like widespread corruption for so long.
Yeah.
and until it comes to a point where you're complicit in allowing it to happen. And with the boomers, I think the like you said, the boomers have been tricked. They think that their taxes are going for things like building roads and keeping us safe from
I wish.
foreign invaders, when in reality a lot of our budget is going towards like black projects, like shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not going towards the roads. They're spending money on fucking secret space program and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very skeptical of Trump. Very skeptical of Trump from the very like day one. He was just a meme for me. The one thing I saw that kind of like gave me a glimmer of hope was that he came out and said he wanted to do Space Force.
Yeah.
And kind of like bring that to the light. So I'm hoping
it's happening either way. So
right. And like I'm a big fan of like the Bob Lazar stuff. I think that Bob Lazar wasn't full of shit. I think that he's seen some shit, and that we have been in possession of this technology. I call it spiritual technology because we don't know where it comes from. We don't know how it works. It's borderline fucking magic.
Well, that's the thing. Once you get into like quantum technology, like you're almost talking about like the way the mind works and how reality's put together. You're not talking about like regular shit anymore.
Right. What's funny is he was talking about how, or I'm not sure if it was Bob Lazar, but one of these dudes, these like disclosure dudes, came out and said that like, and this is mainstream science, that like all of the stars are connected by these like waves, and if you look like the map of space, it kind of looks like neural pathways connected by these radiation belts from star to star.
I've actually seen this. Yes.
And they think that that's how these crafts travel through time, is along these radiation belts, which are like, it kind of mimics the way that our brain, connects neural pathways and transfers information. So like with the whole as above, so below thing.
This goes right back to like synchronicity and the repeating patterns and all of that.
Right.
It's like one pattern that makes up all of creation. You see it over and over.
Yes. Right. Another thing, there was and you might want to look into this, Yakov, if you haven't heard about it. There was and this was around the same time in the 60s when the Cold War was up and brewing, and the nuclear silos for both the US and the USSR completely got shut down, melt down, and there was UFO sightings all over the place.
I have heard of this, yes.
In Oregon desert, I think it was around Bend, Oregon, there was like a pattern, like a crop circle, which is a mandala that it's like all the angles are like perfect 11-degree angles and then 23-degree angles. Everything's perfect, massive scale mandala. And that specific mandala is repeated everywhere throughout so many different cultures. And like,
so are they trying to be like, don't blow each other up, we're all one? Is that the idea?
I don't know. I think I don't want to get too like crock-potty. I think that there probably is someone out there trying to look out for us, and I think there probably is someone out there trying to enslave us. You know what I mean?
I personally feel like if you actually look into the different quote-unquote undisclosed races of the extraterrestrials, I really do feel like a lot of them do not want us to go into nuclear way.
I'm skeptical in that stuff because most of that was gained through channeling.
Right.
And I am so skeptical of channels, and like I feel like I've communicated with weird things interdimensionally and shit, but like there's so many of these people have agendas.
Right. Well, and there's so many things that you can channel that could have agendas.
Yeah,
you can channel something that is true.
Whatever these things are, they seem to claim to be whatever you're most likely to believe. Whether it's God, or whether it's aliens, or whether it's whatever, an ancestor.
By the way, I have no personal experience.
Are you familiar with the like Sumerian creation myths at all?
Yes.
I'm
familiar with Sitchin's accounts. And then, I try to look at it from like the more mainstream religious.
This is one of my favorite things.
And so the story of Enki and Enlil, right? Yes. There were the two like deities. There was one who was supposedly the one who breathed and this is something that is displayed also in the Bible. It's because everything's based off of Sumerian, from Sumerian to Zoroastrianism to Judaism to la 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 to Bing
Yep.
Bang. But fucking so Enlil, I believe it was Enlil. You might have to correct me. Enlil was the one who like breathed life and like liberty into the soul of man. He gave us free will. In the Bible, he was kind of like, you could look at him almost as Lucifer, whereas Enki was like the slave keeper god, and the way he's depicted, and I love the depiction of it. You can find it on Google all over. He's depicted as like a giant, like a huge man holding a whip, whipping men, pushing large stones.
Yep.
And then he has a select few cowering behind him. That is Jehovah. Like, in my opinion, the Bible and all of Abrahamism has been like the greatest lie. Like, the devil's greatest lie is that Jehovah or Yahweh or Adonai, that daddy God, is really like the slave keeper of mankind versus
This is
Enlil.
the
This is
Gnostic
so good.
aspect.
Yeah. This is where it gets into Gnosticism.
All right.
And the demiurge versus,
Yes.
I have like a 40-second rant I got to talk about. I completely agree with you. As someone I've literally read pages upon pages and pages and pages and pages. I used to study the Bible back when I was a good Christian boy, but like I really do think that you are on something here, because lots of, from my interpretation, biblical interpretations are pretty much just slavery.
Yeah.
They really are. If you think about them, they really are. They're trying to contain you to this ideology, and that's
Right.
like, I'm not saying that like going around being some kind of like homo or killing people or raping people or doing all these kinds of sins or whatever is okay. But at the same time, the Bible really does constrain you, and it really does lock you in to be a kind of prisoner.
The first sin in the Bible is the quest for knowledge, and it goes back to that Promethean story. Like, why was Prometheus chained to a rock at the bottoms of the earth and left for the vultures to eat his entrails? For giving the fire of light and knowledge and truth to mankind, and that's why he was persecuted by Zeus.
That's one of the reasons. That's actually one of the reasons why I feel.
I think it's because that enlightenment, that knowledge, that understanding comes at a great price also.
Right.
Like, it takes a toll on your mental state in your day-to-day life. The more you know, the more fucking pain you're in, honestly.
I also feel
I think that's why it's necessary to become an adept. Like, it's not like you don't just receive knowledge for nothing. Like, and if you do, it comes at the peril of insanity. Yeah. You receive knowledge through great works, through the refinement of man, through the refinement of self and
squaring the circle, as they say.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I have two things to say this, and one of them is probably going to be dismissed as fucking retarded, because it could be. It's just an idea that I was having. But like, the quest for knowledge, I feel that when, if we're going off the Bible parables, Eve biting into the apple and accepting that knowledge could have been one of the moments of humanity shouldn't be getting this knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Well, honestly, I look at it.
Should humanity have gotten this knowledge?
Well, it's a question. It's not a question of should we have. It's a matter of. I think it's symbolic of us being animals and then transitioning to something greater.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and it's through the act of perception. It's through, like, if you look at the Bible, also, like, you see that, like, within Genesis, it was like God created the lands and He created the sea. He essentially created like three-dimensional space, and then He said, "Let there be light." And a lot of Gnostic scholars say that Gnostic Christian scholars say that within that creation of light, that was the birth of knowledge. That was the birth of Lucifer, the light bringer, the
Yeah.
one who brings
Yeah.
illumination and thought. And like if you read Manly P. Hall, it says something along the lines of like, the power of the Mason is the seething
Seething
energies of
energies
Lucifer.
of Lucifer.
Yeah,
It's a great line.
and honestly, I wouldn't disagree. I think that like we were talking about the pedophiles and all these like these sick cults of people within our judicial systems and
Mhm.
government. You know, I think that those are the true heirs of the throne of Jehovah. These are the slaver God, the
Yeah.
servant of the slaver
Well,
God.
you even have
Well,
Jesus being called the light bearer in the Bible. Like he's identified as
Yeah.
Lucifer.
I know. That's one of the funniest things. Also, I actually have to like what I was trying to get at is something that you guys might find interesting. If you're talking about these light bringers and all this different stuff, and you're talking about knowledge as being potential light, like they're trying. If you look at it and you look at the right way, like the fact that Eve ate the apple, was that not a pursuing light? And were people, humans, as we are right now, not supposed to pursue that?
I don't think there's a matter of supposed to. That's not the way the universe works. It's not the way God truly works.
You have to go back into the Christian identity kind of thing. And I've read a lot of the Bible, and a lot of the Bible has to do with serendipity, and where God has a plan for you.
Ugh.
You're supposed to do this. I know. But I'm just reading the Bible as it is.
Well, I don't
But
have a problem with that because I don't believe in free will, to be honest. I think it's
You
something we
don't?
experience and it's something that we can't help but identify with, but I don't think it's real. It's just something that the human body needs to
I
exist.
think that there's a paradoxical but symbiotic relationship between free will and destiny. I think that
I feel that.
I think
Yes.
that they're two sides of the same scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that I mean like the whole idea of purpose. You can't have the idea of purpose without having like preordained destiny and fate. Like
Yeah.
uh but at the same time, you could never fulfill a
Yeah.
purpose without free will. I
Well,
think that
that's why it's
I don't
something that we experience, but that doesn't it's you could almost say it's a social construct. That doesn't mean it's
know.
fake. It just means it's something that we need to exist, much the way we need family and civilization and
Right. Well, and I'd like to look at every single action with throughout the universe, whether it be animalistic or a human element or just the movement of the cosmos. It's all an abstraction or a mirror image of deity, right?
yes. Yes. That's
So
great.
it's like you know, fuck, I don't know. I get a
I
little
know.
brain
I
fart.
feel the
Well,
same
here
way, bro.
the
Like
way I
I've
see
been
the
trying to
universe,
talk about this different shit,
I think
and I don't know exactly what to say. But like I'm just like fuck.
but people want purpose for the universe, but I don't think taking away free will negates the purpose because like was the like there
Well,
can be a
it's
great
like
movie and the actor had no will in that. He was just part of the ups and the downs and he was necessary in it. It doesn't take away from him. But like the movie is
well,
standalone. That's how all of creation is to me. We're all
it kind
actors in it.
of it kind of reminds me of that Masonic term, ordo ab chaos.
Yeah.
You know, like we like the universe is chaotic. I'm eclectic. I'm a chaos mage at heart, man. I take what I want and I discard the rest. I fucking rip everything up into shreds on my way,
That's
and I
exactly how
fucking
half of my fucking cosmology is just like pro wrestling.
hell yeah. You know, like how in Santeria they have their deities hidden behind saints. You should
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
your alt right like archetypes hidden behind your
I have a Richard Spencer
Beautiful.
Buddha statue actually.
I got a Mike Enoch statue in my closet over here.
It's in the bathroom.
It really is. You should see.
Did you guys when that whole meme magic thing was going on, when the election was still happening, and all were you guys into that? The whole like cack and pepper, the
Hell yeah, I
frogs?
still kind of
Meme
am.
magic's a thing. Yes, yes.
Dude,
It
that
goes
shit
so
was
well
real.
with like the eclecticness of all the crazy shit that I amalgamate into my worldview.
Yeah, no, that shit was very real.
Meme magic's real.
I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Peterson, but he put it in a very eloquent way when he was talking about how, like the archetypal chaotic spirit of kind of like the downtrodden middle class, white male was kind of like manifesting itself in this humorous way. I don't know. I'm still really into
I think memes are my
penis?
sigils, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Memes are my spells. I'm like, what's a better like? Memes are it's like the smallest idea that can be passed along person to person,
Yep.
and it's
It
the
is.
one that catches on the best. That's the most powerful spell.
Right.
Meme magic is fucking real. If anybody doesn't think it is, they're fucking gay. It really is. Like seriously, like you
No
can
gay as in homo, gay as in retarded.
Yeah.
but like, well, it doesn't even matter.
I don't mean
Like,
gay. I mean.
Oh god. No, meme magic is 100% real. Like literally, we elected Donald Trump. No one can even fucking argue with that.
That was my outlook, is that I won't even vote for the guy, but like other people will because of my shenanigans.
Right.
I voted for him
I
because
felt
I
the
get
very
kicked
same
out
way.
if I didn't.
I'm so disillusioned by fucking this bipartisanship. Like when all that shit was going on, all I could do was laugh that people were fucking stupid enough to even like buy into that shit.
Yeah.
Me?
I am so cynical. I am so fucking cynical when it comes to that shit.